Hello, and welcome to A Journey to King's Cross, a Harry Potter book podcast. We just got finished with...
Chapter 20, The Dementor's Kiss. Pucker up.
Yeah. Be careful, he likes to use tongue.
For the chapter art, we've got a horde of Dementors and an unconscious Hermione on the ground. Fucking useless. And Harry with his cape. Why is he wearing a cape? Nobody else is wearing a cape.
It's probably his robe billowing in the wind or
cloak.
something.
Yeah, a cloak. But it looks like a cape.
Oh, it does look like a cape.
It's definitely not his invisibility cloak, because I don't think he frickin' remembered to grab that at last, even at, like,
no,
after how many
he's
times.
stupid.
They not bright boy.
To be perfectly honest, Hermione has no excuse for not pointing out the obvious detail about the fact that frickin' Snape was there for a frickin' reason and everything. And that maybe it wouldn't be the best idea for Lupin to accompany them back up to the castle.
Whoever, I forget who had the thought of leaving leaving Snape in the tunnel.
Me.
Was it you? I thought
Me.
it was.
Leave him behind.
I thought it was someone in the book. Yes, leave him behind, because then when he comes to, he now has traversed his way back.
That's
so
true.
it takes him longer to get back to be like, but headmaster, here's the thing. And then we wouldn't have had the problem that starts next chapter. But no, we had to do the right thing. We had to take Snape along.
To be fair, Snape probably needed to be there in order to get them into the actual hospital to begin with. I have no idea if those Dementors would have stayed away after the time travel shenanigans.
That's fair. Get out of here with your logic. I don't want it.
No, I've already thrown my logic in.
But if they had left
pointing
Snape
out
in the tunnel, they wouldn't have needed to time travel.
Not sure. Maybe.
And they only got caught by the Dementors just because they ran off instead of going straight to the castle.
To be fair, Lupin being a werewolf kind of triggered everything going to hell and high water.
That is kind of a gray area, because it sounds like Lupin was fine as long as the moon was covered. But then as soon as the clouds parted, that's when his transformation started.
They should have left him. Lupin could have stayed behind with Snape.
Wait, does that mean... Hold on. Does that mean that he could Pirates of the Caribbean this? Can he just go out at night with an umbrella and be fine?
I feel like we've had this conversation before,
No,
but we didn't call it a Pirates of the Caribbean thing.
He just needs some moon glasses.
Not sunglasses.
Yeah, because sunglasses, moon
yeah,
glasses.
but then, what about... Yeah.
See, it's...
For those of you uninformed and everything, the Pirates of the Caribbean joke is the fact that technically Davy Jones is not allowed to stand upon dry land except for once every 10 years.
What?
Yeah.
You're right, but that is not the joke we were going for.
The Curse of the Black Pearl, they only reveal their gross, creepy selves in the light of the moon.
So then you had Ragetti and...
I thought you were making a joke about the fact that we could, you know... Pirates of the Caribbean we could rules lawyer the curse of the werewolf thing into becoming unimportant, because we had him on dry land when he was standing in a bucket of actual seawater, basically, with buckets trailing up to that point.
That would be hilarious.
So if he covered himself up with an umbrella or something along those lines, he would be considerably immune because he wasn't getting hit by direct moonlight.
No.
That's where I thought it was going.
No, you don't remember the scene of Ragetti and the eye guy and the balding guy? They were in the boat. The one was dressed as a woman, and they were like being a decoy for the English. And they had little parasols. And they're, hello! And then they start like banging and like hitting each other because they're like, fuck this.
And then they drop the parasol, and then they're all skeletal. And they're like, ah! And the English like, shit.
And the English went from being like, aw, look at them. Ah!
Yep.
I mean, that would also technically work as well. I always liked how Elizabeth Swann's dad basically was hiding in the freaking closet, fighting with an undead hand, basically.
I love
and then when the fighting's done, he comes out and starts scolding people like he was pivotal to the victory.
Oh
somehow.
no, you forgot the part where the fighting stopped and he opened the drawer and went, huh! And closed it again first.
Yeah, that was funny.
Come on. You should know how government works at this point.
It's exactly how government works.
But also, it does also just go to show that J.K. Rowling didn't really, like, lore build much.
The problem...
She doesn't stick to consistencies.
The thing is, though, is we've explicitly have years upon years of werewolf lore that she's clearly pulling from, but clearly needed to bend it in order for this whole couple of chapters to work. Theoretically speaking, as soon as the full moon is out, he should be a werewolf, regardless of what's going on. And the fact of the matter is, it's already a good chunk of the way through in the night before they actually even start dealing with half of this crap to begin with. But we kind of need him in his human form to give the explanation and backstory in order for Sirius Black to be vindicated for him being actually not a freaking murderer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's also confusing, though, because he used to say that Madame Pomfrey would... I think it was still Madame Pomfrey back then. Would walk him down to the Whomping Willow on the night of the full moon before he became a werewolf.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I did say one of the teachers did.
It was Pomfrey, if I recall correctly.
So it was like, did they hold an umbrella over him? Was he covered in a cloak? Like, at that point, why did you have to put him in somewhere like that anyway? If he, like, what forces the change, or is it just like at a certain point, like at the heights of the moonrise,
like midnight?
I feel like we're retreading old ground that we've done in the previous episode.
I know, but
honest.
this is the werewolf heavy episode.
I know, but at the same time, if we continue to do this, we're gonna bore the hell out of anybody who makes it this far into our podcast.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway, this is a relatively short chapter to begin with and stuff. We were actually kind of surprised when we actually managed to run through it and everything. But, of course, we get the conversation with Sirius Black, where Black's like, I mean, if you want to. I can't imagine that James did not talk about his in-laws in any way, shape, or form. I feel like Sirius was a little too accepted. Like, I feel like...
you know, I'm your godfather. You come live with me if you want. And Harry's like, what? Live with you? Leave the Dursleys? Of course you wouldn't want to. Well, I don't even know why I thought. I was just like...
Say less. Let's go.
Right. He's like, oh, you're excited about this. Yay.
He probably was a bit taken aback by that, but I can't imagine that during their time hanging out together, that Lily or James wouldn't have made mention about how much of a horrible brat Lily and Vernon are. You know what I mean?
I have to imagine it's
yes.
James having a drink with Sirius when they get the spare chance, and Lily's, I don't know, talking to somebody else, and he's like, God damn it, Sirius, I hate them so much, and I can't say shit about it around Lily, because it's her family, and she's too nice to say anything about it, but goddamn, they're the worst. If you've ever thought, you look up the word muggle in a dictionary, and it's them. I hate them.
Yeah, you must have read my mind, because I had thoughts about Sirius and James just going to the bar and just being like, oh my god.
Technically, they're in Britain, it would be the pub.
The pub. Sorry.
Or a tavern, maybe.
Or a tavern.
That would work,
but going for drinks, and then James just being like, good
Except for they
Lord.
Because they were in the middle of a war and were in hiding and didn't have a chance to go to the pub.
They actually interacted. I think James, Lily, Vernon, and Petunia ended up actually having a dinner together and stuff, and it ended up ending poorly with Vernon and James basically getting into a dick measuring contest about who's more wealthy, so to speak. And so, so it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in time, even during a meeting or something with
I don't even think it got to that point about him being wealthy. It was just about the fact that Vernon was strutting about what important job he had and was trying to, and James was unemployed. And I don't think it quite got to the he's rich part.
It did. That was part of the reason they all got angry at each other.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then why didn't they fucking... Is that why they also treated Harry horribly? Because they're like, we know you're secretly wizard rich?
Nah, that was more to the fact that Petunia's a jealous B-word and everything, and couldn't stand the idea of, having another child that was special under his roof and more special than her actual kid, which I always felt like she put that on Dudley, that she was upset that she was not a witch. And so because she felt marginalized in her own home growing up and everything, she wanted to make sure Dudley never felt that same way and went out of her way to overcompensate for her own personal feelings. I don't
Makes sense.
think there was ever a mention that their parents were mean or evil towards her. It was just the fact that they found the wizarding stuff fascinating. And you got to
Who
admit,
wouldn't?
yeah, if you were an adult and you found out your kid was basically a witch and came home every single year with something new or interesting or cool to talk about or show you or something along those lines, you would be interested. But if you had another kid that wasn't magical witnessing all this and stuff along those lines, if you weren't paying extra careful to that child, the envy and jealousy would run fast and run deep.
Right, and honestly, I feel like it still would. Like, it's no matter what, like, you'd have to make sure it's like, look, it doesn't mean you're not special in your own way. But man, I have to admit, a side detail, if I was Petunia, I would be fucking bitter as fuck that magic is real. My sister has magic and I don't have magic. What the actual fuck?
I have no doubts that Petunia was bitter as fuck. I mean, there was a couple of times she actually, like, begged and pleaded to go to Hogwarts, from what I remember.
She sent a lot of letters, and I think Dumbledore eventually had to kind of shut it down.
Yeah.
It's a terrible system.
I mean, you can't send a person to magical school if they can't do any magic.
Oh, no,
Right,
no,
no,
that
fair,
sounds
like,
yeah.
I'm
That
in
sounds
a terrible system of having two siblings.
I feel like if you're gonna have, like, Muggle-born...
If you're gonna have magic pop up like that, it should be in all the children.
Yeah.
Like some magical kind of like, you know, how once you have one mutant kid, the rest of your kids are mutant.
It's all
You
or
don't-
none.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, as you think about it even more harshly. Imagine being a squib. Your entire family, generation-wise, traces itself back, all magical and everything, and you, the lone poor bastard that basically ends up not being able to use it, basically. You've got two options. You go live in the Muggle world for the rest of your frickin' life, or you live basically as the equivalent of a cripple in the magical world.
I would
Again,
rather be
I
a
would-
squib, I think, than be a muggle with a witch sister.
I don't know. I feel like we should leave this up to the comments and stuff and see what anybody thinks.
If your
Like, would
sibling-
like you get no magic one way or the other, but which one would be worse? Knowing that you were you were the one in a generation that doesn't get it in your family, basically, or you find you're
Or
a
that
muggle.
your sibling was more lucky to
Yeah.
get magic
Leave a
than you.
comment. Tell us what you think. But like, I feel like at least there are still things you could do. Care of magical creatures, as long as it's not too dangerous and you don't need wand work for it. Limited potions.
No, I think potions requires a wand. So you're
She
not.
did say
yeah,
limited.
Limited.
yeah, you can still take them, but so can muggles.
No, you can still make some of them. Not all of them require wand work.
I don't recall them ever saying that it was like there was that opening in that detail.
I mean, technically, Snape says there's no wand waving or incantations in his class. It's very back and forth about it. But also, they do mention, like, Filch mentions having the special program. I think that there are some potions you can do without wand work.
It's never stated. It's a quick. It was a spell lesson and stuff, and Ron giggled because he knew it was only something that Squibs took, and it sounded kind of like it was a thing that Squibs took in the vain hope that they might actually be magical and not necessarily in a sense,
It's also been very. I think there are different degrees of it.
Where did you get that?
Because there were Voldemort's mom
No.
was possibly closer to being a squib.
No,
'Cause she
that
could
was her.
barely do magic.
That was her dad derisively commenting on her abilities, calling them weak and pathetic. It wasn't any indication of her actual ability. It was her dad being a dick.
Maybe it was just a fandom theory then that it's possible that she was very close to it. But yeah, you're right. It was also her. No, because they mentioned that once she was away from her dad, it got better.
Yeah.
My bad.
it's one of those things where it's like your magic seems to be incorporated into your mindset and stuff along those lines, and your emotional state to some degree. And if you are depressed enough, you are incapable of casting magic or even being very good at it, which is why Azkaban is so effective at keeping people imprisoned there, because enough time around there, you can't do magic anymore. Sirius Black was so wildly crazy because they didn't think it was actually possible for a person to get out, let alone after 12 years of enduring time there and everything.
Could you imagine how much chaos could be caused every month when a woman hits her cycle? Or when she's pregnant?
Would you be like double the wizard if you had like a magical kid? Would you get like an amp or something along those lines to your emotional state? Because you got a whole extra human body inside of you at that point in time?
That kind of makes me think. I've read a lot of comics that I've read, like it's basically you can't use your powers when you're pregnant.
Oh God!
Because it makes it extra stress and
sleepless.
Yeah, and basically it's just gonna make it a whole lot worse. And I think they incorporated that in Invincible too.
Never watched.
In the comics.
Never read.
Fair enough. But anyway.
I do have to admit, I think that the freeze and the Patronus didn't necessarily work, though, during the point when he's, like, trying to fend off the Dementors. It's primarily because he knew he wasn't going. With Peter disappeared and stuff along those lines, he probably knew for a fact any chances of moving in with his godfather were basically gone. So that isn't necessarily a happy memory enough in order to warrant actually working.
Right. Plus, there's not enough strong, happy, or emotional bond yet with Sirius. It's not exactly happy.
It's a thought, but it's not a memory.
It's not like a solid, happy core memory. Oh, hi, buddy.
Yeah, he's going around trying to get love from everybody.
Hi.
But I have to admit, though, like, this is definitely a much shorter chapter and everything. If you want to give me the book, I can try and thumb through and try to refresh my memory and see if there's anything in particular that we could talk about. But
also, Hermione trying to do the spell. Like, Harry's like, Hermione, help me, help me. She doesn't know how to fucking do the spell. She may know the words, but she doesn't know that you have to have a happy thought behind it.
With every single time she's managed to pull something out of her back pocket that nobody thinks she should actually know, I think Harry was grasping at straws and big. Like,
well, that's what I mean.
My best friend, my security blanket, the girl that has knowledge beyond her years.
Think of something happy, help
me! Please tell me you've been doing and learning this behind my back at some point.
He does say, at the beginning of that, when he calls for her help, he does say, think of something happy, help me.
Yeah.
But, it's probably not enough information for her to be like, oh, happiest memory yet. Say the words. Make the spell.
So, I gotta ask, though. I think in the movie it was implied that Peter needed the wand. In the book, he doesn't seem to need it because Harry manages to shoot the wand out of Peter's hand before he transforms. And then he transforms afterwards. It's still one of those things where it's like, it's wild that nobody took any stunning shots at his ass. Like, you know?
Petrificus Totalis!
Like,
Petrificus Totalis is, instead of Expelliarmus. Come on, man.
Stupefy. Anything, basically, in this moment. Even if you got him as a rat, he ain't going anywhere if he's stunned.
Could you imagine if you hit him with a Petrificus Totalis midway through, or stun, how midway through you just have this half man, half rat? I promise, Dumbledore, this is Peter Pettigrew.
Looks like you glued a rat's head on top of a man. Yes, Peter Pettigrew.
Look, he's missing a finger. Or toe, finger, I don't know.
I have to admit, though, the idea that, like, that Sirius just jumped into it, basically, fighting off Remus and everything, and then basically going through this whole thing. I could not imagine the amount of despair currently in that poor man's mind at the moment to realize that his one shot, his one opportunity of truly being a free man and everything basically just went up in smoke. And he knows for a fact, once Peter's gone, he's not going to be able to find him as easily as he did this time around.
Yeah, well, Peter learned, can't be in anybody's public view.
You're going to go scurry into the woodwork.
Maybe I'll find somebody.
Which is
We'll
basically what he does.
We'll find out. No, that's not what he does. He goes around in human form and gets caught by somebody from the ministry, and it's only because she's a poor witch who's had her memory ability fried beyond all comprehension and stuff.
Oh, that's right.
That she doesn't recognize the fact that this motherfucker's supposed to be dead. So yeah, Peter is a lucky son of a bitch, is what it is. That the fact that he
Some
managed
people
to
have all the luck.
he still gets his comeuppance in the end of the story and everything, but the fact that he
Spoilers.
manages to avoid it for so many years. Oh, come on. I didn't say what... I said he gets his comeuppance. I didn't even say how he gets his comeuppance.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Come on, Kimmy, you gotta say it right.
No. I'm too tired.
Someone's half asleep and she's starting to annoy me.
Wow, rude.
It's called
he's
being
closer to you. You can
honest.
punch him. Smack him.
I'll leave.
You're the one making comments about spoilers and stuff about me saying somebody gets their comeuppance.
Well, yeah, because we always do that. We always say spoilers at random things, even though we've definitely ruined a bunch of things.
I was being vague as humanly possible and everything. That was the least spoilery thing I've ever said.
Comeuppance obviously means bad thing to happen. You're just desserts.
Exactly, but I didn't say what. For all you know, he could have gotten a freaking earache or something along those
He
lines.
gets smacked in the face.
Or Snape punches him in the face. That'd be funny.
Ooh, it'd be great.
Peter Pettigrew is a murderer. Are you thinking flick down the nose is gonna be comeuppance?
Considering how wimpy he is, yes.
It wouldn't take much.
Yeah, I guess.
Ooh, maybe he becomes a lab rat.
We're gonna stun him permanently in here and he can go help. We could test hair care products on his butt or something along those lines.
Help his balding.
I was thinking it would just fail miserably and make it worse.
We tried mascara to extend his lashes, but, well, they just fell off.
Yeah.
Oh my god, now I'm picturing the actor, like Peter Pettigrew, just covered in very bad drag makeup.
I'm sorry. Oh, that would be hilarious. But you know where my mind jumped back to? My daughter went through a stint where Matilda was her favorite movie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it recently? Like, do you remember Matilda?
Just
There's a scene where Matilda's like, I'm gonna get my dad his own comeuppance, and switches his hair dye with her mom's bleach. So then he ends up bleaching what little hair he has, and then to hide it, he puts a hat on, which she then super glues to his head. It was great.
Gosh, that sounds funny. But, yeah, I thumbed back over the chapter and everything. There really isn't anything else to add. And to be perfectly honest, outside of a short stunt and a fake one in the next book and their appearance in the one after that, the Dementors kind of have their hurrah in this book and are more or less mitigated to a minor inconvenience at best after this.
Yeah, they really are.
Oh, no, they're in the final book during that trial scene with Umbridge.
Yep. The interrogation.
Yeah, but that's also like that's
that,
more of a
really,
blink in it. Yeah, that's a more.
I think they play more of a part in the movie. I think they're at the Battle of Hogwarts in the movie.
Really, I never. It's been a while. Wrong. It's been a while since I've watched that, so like I was willing to believe that on face value, to be honest.
I'm so confused by her writing because she just randomly changes from Sirius to Black, and not in speech, like in like. Narration.
Thoughts talking
well,
about
like
him?
The first part, like when she's describing them coming up the stairs, held up by his own wand, which was being pointed at him by Sirius. And then going later, Crookshank's still in the lead. Harry went after Black.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm like a vast majority of it, she does still refer to him as Black, but it's just. Makes no sense.
But then, like, the rest of the series, she refers to him as Sirius.
Which, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because at that point, he's integrated, he's cleared in the reader's mind. Definitely.
Would make sense that, like, from Harry's point of view, switching from, like, calling him Black would make more sense than calling him Sirius, because you're not familiar with him. But, like,
To be fair, Black sounds a lot more sinister
It-
than Sirius does.
It does. It's weird when they switch back and forth like that so soon.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's something I kind of do in my writing, to be honest, and probably not the best thing to be doing back and forth.
Right, but I'm sure that if that's something you do routinely, like that's your style, that's fine. But it just
It's
doesn't
only-
make sense.
It's
that-
only during this part of the story where
Yeah.
it seems to be okay.
And like it happens so many times. Like Lupin changes into a werewolf, and one paragraph is, you know, Lupin leapt forward, but was caught by Black, and then as the werewolf reared, Sirius disappeared from Harry's side. Like it's
That's so
it's
annoying.
So
That's,
weird.
Stick to one thing.
We as readers appreciate consistency in how you're telling the story, not just in the story itself, if that makes sense. Anyway, I've pretty much ran out of things to say at this point. Anybody else got anything else to add, or is Brandy going to keep her editor's hat on and thumb through the book a bit more?
I'm looking back to see in the last chapter what she referred to him as. It looks like mostly Black, except for when Lupin was speaking.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else to say really.
Yeah, I've already said my piece and stuff. So, anything else, Bib?
No.
I mean, if you want to, I can buy you some more time. I was listening to somebody else actually talking about the Harry Potter series, and was kind of implying, like, going over some of the subtext, or like, you know, I think what's the word for it? Like, I can't remember the exact word for it. It's when you're writing about something, but you're not writing directly about it. You're kind of putting in something in to substitute for another idea, basically.
Oh, I feel like I should know.
Yeah, I know. I should know as well, and it's ticking me off. The idea basically being is behind the idea of a gay reading of the Harry Potter books and stuff along those lines, and why, like, during its earlier times before somebody went off a cliff, there was a massive, like, LGBTQR following for the series and stuff along those lines. And the idea basically being is that when we were talking earlier in the book and stuff, there was the whole, like, Aunt Marge thing, and pretending to not be what you actually are, but instead of being a reading of being magical, it's hiding your, you know, gayness or queerness or whatever you want to insert thing here from LGBTQ and stuff along those lines.
Allegory?
Allegory, yeah. I know writers who use allegory. They're all cowards. That was the word I was looking for, allegory. And so I was like, all right, well, if we don't really have anything more on there, we could backpedal a little bit and actually touch on that. Because as a straight white man and everything, my mindset necessarily isn't a gay, like, reading the story through a gay lens, basically.
Yeah.
I don't think it was written as an allegory. However, I
No.
feel like it can be used as one.
I feel like before, like, when people were giving Rowling the benefit of the doubt and stuff along those lines, when these were originally coming out and stuff, a lot of people that had that probably didn't think that that was the intent behind the author, but were capable of comfortably reading it that way because it fits relatively nicely, all things considered, when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that racism and bigotry and blood purity and stuff are actually such a major aspect of the story. But I think Rowling went on record and stuff when people actually mentioned the fact that some people were using pure blood stuff along those lines in terms of racism and stuff. She was legitimately shocked. I doubt she did a whole lot of research into queer identity or anything else along those lines while writing this. It was more of a happy coincidence that a lot of things lined up, like with Tonks
Wait,
and
she
stuff.
was surprised that people compared people, like, the pure blood thing to racism?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Did you...
Are we that surprised?
But
No.
the Death Eaters are literally Nazis. Like, what the fuck?
She never made that. She never had that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, like...
It fits super well, doesn't it?
Yeah. It
That,
does.
but
like,
but that's part of the reason they gave her the benefit of the doubt for, like, the longest period of time. If she had logged off Twitter after the series was more or less done, we'd go through the rest of our lives thinking
How is she that out of touch?
Kimmy, how are people nowadays out of touch with what things go on and don't
That's
believe?
fair.
she's a
See?
freaking boomer. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's still people who think that Star Wars wasn't...
Anti-war, yeah.
Yeah.
You can go like reading comprehension needs to be a freaking class in the United States because apparently a lot of people do not understand certain aspects or
But
are
re-
willfully blind to them.
But reading comprehension needs to be more thorough than just the drapes were blue because it shows the author's depression. No, the drapes were fucking blue.
I wrote to the author. The author said, I like the color blue.
Yeah.
So the drapes were blue.
It needs to be a
Though that
Good.
we're getting into the death of the author concept and stuff when it comes to literary information.
It's kind of also like how a lot of people are like, Lord of the Rings was definitely an allegory for the Bible, and J.R.R. Tolkien definitely was like, I'm pretty sure
no.
was like, no.
The other
You're
thing
thinking of Chronicles of Narnia.
No, because and I could be wrong because I was only half listening. to
I've
it.
never heard the Bible one.
I've
I've heard nuclear war. That the ring represented basically the nukes and stuff. That's a reading I've heard of before that he basically also dismissed. He also went on record saying none of his experiences in the war really influenced, but we all kind of can see that's BS because quite a few of the death imagery and stuff, especially in the final book in the series, sounds a lot like some of the battles he was involved with during the wars that he was going through.
I was watching a video by Today I Found Out, and I was only half listening to it, but yeah, I don't know where the allegory to the Bible came from. More like allegory to English history, the history of England as a country.
That's also one I've not heard before either. But
I'll find the
I feel
video
it
and I'll
fits a
send
little
it.
bit
For
better.
which one?
For Lord of the Rings, it's the history of England mythos, basically, is what the video was saying. Like I said, I was half listening to it. I will find it and send it to you guys so you guys can watch it if you're interested.
Fair. I know we're off topic, but I'm pretty sure that he's basically said that it's nah, it's just it's the mythos of this place told from the Hobbit's point of view, pretty much.
Oh yeah, he went deep when it came to his storycraft and stuff with this whole thing. Basically, not very many people even today are willing to make an entire freaking language, basically make it make sense and then basically incorporate a story more or less around it. The amount of work and dedication that he put into that book series is definitely something to be marveling about, especially considering people can get educations in terms of studying basically the equivalent of 4 frickin' books that this guy made back in the day. It does kind of sadden me he never got to see the Peter Jackson actual trilogy and everything. I would love to have heard his opinion on that, considering he never really had the luxury of seeing something like that happening during while he was alive. Not that I think he'd probably approve of it super much, because they do take some liberties with the original story. Just like they do in the Harry Potter books, they take quite a few liberties with movies over the books and stuff.
Isn't it true that there were talks of that because Christopher Lee met Tolkien.
Yeah, but he didn't have a whole lot of influence over the creation of the
No. I'm just saying, wasn't that something that he was talked about? I don't know. Although I'm pretty sure that the author of The Last Unicorn, if there was a live action adaptation, he wanted Christopher Lee to play Haggard.
I support. That would have been
great.
Not familiar with The Last Unicorn, so
that's
my opinion is moot. Anyway, how about we start plugging our stuff and closing this up before we
fix things.
What?
I need to fix you. I need to show you this. I'm gonna sit you down with your daughter and I'm gonna show you both.
Alright, that might be my homework this weekend on my 3-day weekend going on.
Yes,
right.
well I go to work on Monday.
That might be what I'm confusing it with.
Unicorn.
Christopher Lee was the English and German voice of King Haggard in the movie.
Oh.
No, I'm stupid, so... But he probably would have played a live action one really well anyway.
Oh, he was the voice? Now I need to rewatch this.
That's according to Google.
Not the only one ignorant of things.
To be fair, the last time I really watched it was before I was very familiar with Christopher Lee.
Fair enough.
But you can find me at Luna's Creation Corner on most social media. if you enjoy crochet content.
Twitch, playing video games, currently still working through Persona 3 and everything. I'm about ready to give up on my guide and everything because it's requiring a heck ton of grinding. I've been in the same spot for multiple days in a row playing, not really making much progress except for trying to get more money.
But what's your handle on Twitch?
Cole Sanders, Mondays and Wednesdays, anywhere from right around maybe 6 o'clock to about 8 hour time. It's more than happy for you to swing by, say hi, lurk. I don't really mind at this point.
And you can find me on Brandywine Stitches on YouTube for all of my crafty things, and Hackdown Candle Co. on the rest of the socials for all my candle making.
All right, that is everything. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and keep your wands at the ready. Bye.
Bye.